Whether you're already a big fan of wax seals or you just want to give them a try, now is the time. Because Spellbinders has their Sealed by Spellbinders collection with brand new colors of wax beads, mixes of colors, and new wax seal stamp. First up, let's take a look at these new colors and a way that you can organize them. Here are the 5 new colors that I'll be working with. This one is called Pistachio. We also have Fern. I didn't have green, so this was really great. This is called Ink. It's a really neat deep blue. This is Cotton Candy, and this is one of the must-have wax beads mix. This is the coral mix, so there are several colors in it, and it mixes up really beautifully. I also have one of the Spellbinders wax bead organizers, and I just want to show you how nicely they look inside this organizer, which is very, very affordable. It is just a small plastic organizer, but all of those inserts that are making it into little cubes come out. So you'll see that some other designers use, by taking them out, put their wax seal stamps in there as well. I'm just organizing my wax beads today, and I have my seal stamps in a drawer, so I'll show you that some other time. But you could also label the bottom of this container so that the top remains really pretty and you can see all the colors through it. Here are some previous releases of wax beads, and I wanted to add them in so that I have a full container here. You can see that it doesn't take the entire bag of wax beads in each cube, but that's okay. I have some extra to use in the future as well. For this second container, I'm going to put a bunch of neutrals in there. So I have 3 little cubes of black wax beads, and there you can see you can take out those dividers and have a large section of one color. Since I'm just doing 2 for each of these, I'm going to keep the dividers in there in case I ever change this to something else. I don't want to lose the dividers. So there you go. I have 2 containers now filled with options of wax beads, and I did want to share how you could label the back of the container so that you can still see the front and all the colors that are included in this box. Make sure you only flip it over if you have the lid tightly closed, otherwise everything will fall out. Now let's try out these new colors with the new wax seal stamp. Here's the new wax seal stamp called Timeless Blooms. It's a really pretty stamp that you could use for a whole bunch of different cards. So I will start with the color Ink, and because I am starting with a fresh spoon with nothing in it, I use 4 beads to make sure I have enough to pour out. Once it's completely melted, I pour the spoon out on the silicone mat into a circle so that, and that's really easy to do. It kind of wants to go into a circle on its own, and then just place the wax seal stamp right on top. Don't press down, just place it on top, and once it's dry and solid, you can lift up the wax seal stamp and then lift up the wax seal off of the silicone mat, and look at how beautiful that color is and how beautiful the image is. This one is Fern, and I absolutely love this green. I think it is so pretty, so perfect for the spring. And I'll just place that seal on top. This is a previously released wax seal stamp. I'll have it linked down in the YouTube description box below this video. I love the look of the rim around the wax seals. I know sometimes you can trim them off, but I really like the way it looks. It looks like a traditional old-time wax seal. This is Pistachio, and I have a couple of different wax seals that I'm using today from previous releases, but this one is that new one, Timeless Blooms. And again, whether it's in a dark color or a light color, I think this image is really beautiful. And look at all of the detail that's impressed on the wax with those stamps. Here I have in the spoon the coral mix. Now I wanted to show you how I deal with this because I don't want to stir it up completely because I want to see bits of all the colors. So I just take a toothpick and drag it through some of the darker colors, and that creates a marbleized effect, which I think is really beautiful. I love coral, especially with the spring coming, like I mentioned with the pistachio, and place that wax seal right inside. Here is a mandala wax seal from a previous release that I've always loved, again, with all of those details in that wax seal that you can really see in the wax. This is cotton candy. This is such a pretty color as well. This is actually royal blue, which was from a previous kit of the month, and I didn't realize that it wasn't a new color. It was the previous kit of the month color. So now I take some type of paint pen or metallic pen and just brush it across the image. This really helps it stand out from the background color. I love white with the ink, silver with the royal, the Deco Gold pen with the coral mix. I used white again with that other bloom look of wax seal. And now I have a bunch to work with. Finally, let's add them to some cards. Before we dive into the card making, I did want to show you a new Better Press plate. It's called Sealed Florals, and this is part of the Sealed by Spellbinders collection with those new wax beads colors. It has an image with long stems on the flower, which means it's the perfect type of image to place a wax seal on top of, and it also has two different sentiments of press plates that you can use next to that flower. So I'm using my Better Press system and some of the cotton cardstock. I have a really pretty color of ink. I think it is called apricot, and black ink for the sentiment. And then I just place that plate on top and run it through my die cut machine, and check out that image again with the details. The thing that I love about Spellbinders dies, Better Press plates, glimmer plates, and wax seals is that there are so many intricate details that I couldn't achieve on my own for sure. It really makes purchasing their items that much more worth it because they are so beautifully designed. I'm going to trim those both down to 4 by 5 1/4, and that allows me to tie some twine or string around the panel and then use one of the wax seal circle adhesives to place the wax seal onto the project. So you just place that wax seal adhesive on the back and then peel off the protective layer and place it down on your project, and it will stay stuck down on the string and on the paper as well. So then I just use a little tape runner to adhere that panel down to the mat, which is such a simple card, so easy to create, but has such a big impact because of all those details. Impressed with the Better Press because of the wax seal being so unique, and then adding that twine for a little bit of extra texture. So here again, peel off the wax seal circle adhesive, place it down on the back of the wax seal, and then use that little tab to remove that protective backing there, and that reveals the adhesive on the back of the wax. Then you can just place it down on your project. I find this to be the easiest way to adhere wax seals to cards. So then I can just use my little Spellbinders tool-in-one to pick apart the edges of this twine, again, just to add a little bit more texture to that card. For this next card, I'll be using the die set that is new from Wendy Vecchi, and this die set has some scalloped rectangles. Now, scalloped rectangles are perfect for tying twine around and using as that panel to place the wax seal on top of. This die set also has a thanks die and a shadow that goes with it. So I've cut the thanks out of gold mirror cardstock, and I'm adhering it to the shadow with my Sweet Petunias glue precision press, and that it makes it really easy to just put a little bit of adhesive behind that. Here is that scallop, like I mentioned, makes it really easy to tie the twine around, and it stays in place because it's hooked onto those little scalloped edges. I absolutely sometimes love to add a bow, and even though you're covering the center of the bow up with the wax seal, it still really looks pretty to have the loops coming out from the sides of the seal. So once again, I use those circle adhesives to adhere that wax seal to the heart, which is also part of Wendy's die set, and then pop up the thanks on some Spellbinders small foam squares. This is a real clean and simple card, and that wax seal gets to really steal the show. Here is the largest scallop that is part of Wendy's die set, and I cut it out of some green cardstock, and I'll place it in a embossing folder, which is also part of that collection. Then I'll take some white pigment ink and just wipe it gently across the top. That allows me to just hit the highest parts of the embossed image with white pigment ink, which really makes them stand out, especially the flowers. I think that adds a really nice touch to the edge of the petals of the flowers. In particular, I love how it also hits the flower center. So just some very specific details of the image get covered with the ink. Then I'm using some white string from DMC to wrap around. Again, those scalloped edges make it really easy there, and then I'll knot it. I like to include several loops of string. Again, that just adds more texture to your card, and a wax seal adhesive circle to adhere this down. Now this color is Fern, and I thought it went really cool with the background color there. I am excited for spring and lots of green coming our way. And for the thanks die this time, I'm not using the shadow. I'm just adding a little bit of liquid glue with the precision press to the back of a white cardstock cutout, the thanks, and I'll place that on the card as the sentiment there. So again, a very simple card, easy to create and make, but has lots of fun details to it. Next up, I'm using an embossing folder from the January Kits of the Month, and I used some cosmic blue cardstock from Spellbinders, which is one of my absolute favorite colors. I happened to have some string that I thought matched pretty well, and some ink as well to stamp that sentiment. I'll just use a scallop that I'll cut off the side in order to place this wax seal down over the string and have the sentiment on it, and this flower that I die cut as well. So simple to put together, but so many special details. For this card, I wanted to use the Better Press plate that we used in the beginning, but I wanted to use white pigment ink on a dark color of cardstock. Now, this white pigment ink is not Better Press ink, so you're not going to get a perfect impression. It's not going to be as deep because I'm not using the cotton cardstock, but it will make do with a really pretty look. I hope that sometime Spellbinders will be able to produce a white ink for the Better Press and dark colors of cotton cardstock, but for now you can make do with what you have in your stash. Again, it's not going to be perfect, so don't expect it to be the exact type of detail and impression that you get when you use the correct combination of cardstock and ink, but I just love the way it looks. So here I have that ink color of wax beads with the new wax seal stamp and a little bit of white ink on top of that. That coordinates beautifully with that flower in the background. As I said at the top, I am a huge fan of wax seals. I love making them. I find it very relaxing, and I love the way that they look on cards. Thank you so much for stopping by and spending time with me today. Please stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll see you again soon. What is it called? Collectives, mixes. I think we should do that again. That's better.